UK indicates it could arrest Netanyahu on ICC warrant, as Hungary invites him to visit. Britain on Friday indicated that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu could be arrested on an International Criminal Court warrant if he visits, and Ireland said it would definitely arrest him if he did, while Hungary rejected the ICC decision to seek Netanyahu's arrest for alleged war crimes in Gaza and invited him to make an official visit. Israel and the United States on Thursday rejected the top court's decision to issue warrants for the premier and his former defense minister Yoav Gallant, with President Joe Biden denouncing it as outrageous. The UK will always comply with its legal obligations as set out by domestic law and indeed international law, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer spokesman said on Friday. Asked directly whether Netanyahu would be arrested, the spokesman said he would not talk about specific cases. Earlier on Friday, Ireland's Prime Minister Simon Harris said Netanyahu would be detained if he arrived there. Asked by state broadcaster RT if Ireland would arrest the Israeli Prime Minister if he came to Ireland, Harris said, "Yes, absolutely. We support international courts and we apply their warrants." He added, "Relations between Ireland and Israel have deteriorated since Dublin recognized a Palestinian state last May, a move that prompted Israel to recall its ambassador." Ireland's Foreign Minister Michael Martin said Friday he disagreed with U.S. President Joe Biden's depiction of the warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant as outrageous, asserting that war crimes have been committed in Gaza. "It's a collective punishment of the people, it's genocidal," he said. Canada, Belgium, Spain, Austria, Finland, Portugal, the Netherlands, Slovenia, and Switzerland are among others of the 124 ICC member countries that have said they will comply with the arrest warrants. Others, including Hungary, Czechia, and Argentina, have said they will ignore them. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán joined the U.S. in voicing support for Israel, inviting Netanyahu to Budapest for an official visit in a letter that vowed he would ensure the premier's safety and freedom. Orbán said in the letter that Hungary, which is a member of the ICC, strongly condemns this disgraceful decision, which he said would have no impact whatsoever on the bilateral relationship. In the face of the embarrassing weakness of those who took the side of the outrageous decision against Israel's right to self-defense, an appreciative Netanyahu said in response, "Hungary, like our friends in the U.S., displays moral clarity and takes a stand for justice and truth." Meanwhile, the Kin broadcaster reported on Friday that the incoming Trump administration was making plans for punitive actions against the ICC over its decision to issue the warrants, citing sources in Washington. The anonymous sources told Kin that the transition team was looking at introducing personal sanctions against the ICC chief prosecutor Karim Khan, as well as the judges who issued the warrants. The ICC accuses Netanyahu and Gallant, whom the Prime Minister fired earlier this month, of targeting civilians and using starvation as a weapon of war. The court on Thursday also issued a warrant for Hamas military chief Mohammed Deif, who Israel says was killed by an IDF strike in Gaza in July. On Thursday, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's nominee for National Security Advisor Mike Waltz tweeted, "You can expect a strong response to the anti-Semitic bias of the ICC and UN come January." In more neutral statements, Germany and France both commented on the warrants without confirming or denying whether they would uphold the ICC ruling. A German government spokesman said on Friday that Berlin would carefully examine the warrants, but would take no further steps unless a visit was planned. The German government was involved in the drafting of the ICC statute and is one of the biggest supporters of the ICC. This attitude is also the result of German history, the spokesperson said. At the same time, it is a consequence of German history that we share unique relations and a great responsibility with Israel. Paris said it had taken note of the decision, also without specifying if Netanyahu or Gallant would be arrested if they entered French territory. France takes note of this decision. True to its long-standing commitment to supporting international justice, it reiterates its attachment to the independent work of the court, the French Foreign Ministry said in a statement. The war in Gaza erupted after Hamas's October 7th massacre, which saw some 3,000 terrorists burst across the border into Israel by land, air, and sea, killing some 1,200 people and seizing 251 hostages, mostly civilians, many amid acts of brutality and sexual assault. Israel's counteroffensive has killed more than 44,000 people, according to the Hamas Health Ministry. The figure cannot be independently verified and does not distinguish between civilians and combatants, of whom Israel says it has killed at least 17,000 in Gaza, in addition to about 1,000 inside Israel during the onslaught. Israel has said it seeks to minimize civilian fatalities and stresses that Hamas uses Gaza's civilians as human shields, fighting from civilian areas including homes, hospitals, schools, and mosques.